The opinions expressed are those of the program host and guest and are not those of WSTU. WSTU does not endorse products that may be mentioned. Any reproduction or retransmission of this broadcast is strictly prohibited without written consent of WSTU. The phone lines are open. Call in with your questions and comments at 220-9788. That's 220-WSTU. It's time for Stuart Laser Talk with your host, Dr. Tred J. Rizacker.
I'm 5'10" and 242 pounds.
I always say this is the biggest I'm ever going to be, and I said that like 20 pounds ago.
A third of Americans are obese, another third is overweight.
Obesity is the biggest threat to the health, welfare, and future of this country.
I've always been overweight.
I've got diabetes,
Sleep apnea,
Heart disease.
everything's hurting now.
It's a lot easier to lose weight than it is to keep weight off.
This is probably going to be the first generation of children who are going to have a shorter life expectancy than their parents.
18% of our children right now are obese.
It's not only health, it's about survival and well-being of the United States as a nation.
You don't crave broccoli, and our generation has grown up craving a Big Mac.
I want to think that there's something better for me.
Unless we're able to control this epidemic, we're going to have an abundance of chronic disease.
All of us have to be part of the solution to reduce obesity.
The weight of the nation is out of control, but we can fix that.
If we don't now take this as a really urgent national priority, we are all going to pay a really serious price.
Obesity will crush the United States in oblivion.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Tred Rizacker, and I am your host over the next hour on the Slim Body Laser Spa's Health and Wellness Show. And I am the owner, the doctor, and a client at the Slim Body Laser Spa. Yes, just like Bosley Hair Treatments, he says he's the owner and a client. Well, there you go. That's me. In fact, I wrote a little post on my Facebook, if you're interested, Slim Body Laser Spa, about hair loss and about hair growing back the hair that you lost. It was something that I have a little bit of knowledge in. I was trained by the Hair Loss Control Clinic out of New York several years back, and never really pursued the business model of it, but I sure learned a lot about hair loss and what we can do to stop and to regrow your hair. And believe it or not, it's something we don't think much about, but when your hair starts to get thin and brittle and dull, it sure makes us look old. So all the things we do to look better and to feel better with the clothing and all of the hairdressers and things, if you don't have a lot of hair, it definitely affects how you feel and how you look about yourself. So I'm going to go over that a little bit today, some of the things that you should know about if you want to have your hair become thicker and fuller and, more hair without any kind of surgery, without any dangerous injections or any kind of drugs. And yes, it does require laser therapy to do that. Of course, my main emphasis is on how today's modern FDA cleared lasers are being used to help you to lose weight, to lose stubborn fat, to help sculpt your body, to help tighten loose, floppy areas that have become over the years a problem. And, it's always been classically the only tool you really have when it comes to body sculpting and changing your physical appearance as far as body shape has always been diet, exercise, and more diet and more exercise and specific exercise and more rigid dieting to exercise with trainers to eating things that promote ketosis and promote ketone. And it just gets harder and harder. And really, the results do not equal the effort that's put into it in many of us. Now, unless you're genetically born with an incredible figure and shape and good muscle tone and proper proportioning of your arms to legs to hip to waist ratio, as they say. If you're fortunate to be like that, well, then you're not even listening to the program. But if you're like the rest of us who maybe has shorter legs than you thought you should have, or maybe your waist is not as long as your friends, and you have more of a muscular shape than a long, lengthy shape, or maybe your parents were a bit portly and you ended up inheriting that fat gene, as they say, then this talk is for you. Then the Slim Body Laser Spa is for you, because it can achieve body sculpting, and it can achieve results in such a short time, things that you could only have dreamt about, like in surgery. When people say to themselves, and they look at themselves in the mirror, and they look at a belly fat that's hanging over, or the muffin top which is spilling over on the side, and they say, God, if I could just cut it off. If I could just cut it off, I'd be happy. Well, you could cut it off, but you might not be happy. And we know that there's a lot of risks and side effects and associated with any type of surgical fat skin removal, and there's names for it. It's called abdominoplasty and surgical liposuction. And it's called they try to name it something friendly so it doesn't scare you, like smart lipo or tickle lipo or, jet lipo, and these are all terms trying to lessen the impact and what it is you're really getting. So for that reason, there's been a search in the medical community, and it's been a very long, arduous task of trying to find other procedures, other techniques, medical devices that could give the results that you could get from surgery. The happy result, the one where it's off and it's quick and you look better and it stays that way. This has been the elusive, carrot that everybody's been searching for. And I really, truly believe they found it here in these low-level lasers. And that's really my message today. I want to explain to you how it is a low-level laser, a flashlight, for crying out loud. It looks like a flashlight. How could this change your body composition and to help you to trim down, to slim down, to look better, to feel better? How could a light like a flashlight create lower body fat? How could something like this non-invasive, it doesn't even get hot, for crying out loud, yet it can change your BMI. It can change your blood fat concentration to lower your triglycerides. It can also help you with, improving your overall fitness, how you feel, how you get up, your ability to sleep. To me, it's mind-blowing, so I'm going to go out today and buy a bunch of flashlights and lay them all around my bed and put on my shorts and just lay under those lights. It probably isn't going to work the same, even though it's the same concept. And I'm going to explain that to you in depth, why these lights, which we're all subjected to light every day, this light in this room. I'm sitting under 100-watt fluorescent bulbs in our studio here next to downtown Stewart with my buddy Mike. He's been up since, when did you get here this morning? 6?
Yeah, I roll in around 6.
There you go. So he's had a few hours already at the bench here. So I'm going to try to keep him going until he gets to go home and do a second day job, and then his third day job, and then his 2 evening jobs.
Yep. Got the 2 night jobs too.
I don't know when he sleeps.
I don't.
So the laser is a light device, and the difference between light itself, I think in order to really understand how a laser operates and how it can do it, is you really have to have a basic understanding of light and what light is exactly. So, we take it for granted when we get up and we see light and the sun is out and we see all these colors and, the rainbow moves through after the rain and we see all those beautiful rainbow colors. Well, this is energy from the sun. And it's photonic energy, which is being produced. And what you can visibly see with your eyes is only a very small swath, a very narrow line as to the whole picture. It would almost be like if you had a big picture on the wall that was encompassed the whole universe from the one end to the other. And the only thing you could see of that picture was a line the size of a fishing line thread. That's all you could see with your visible eye. Now you could feel the other energy. You could feel heat. You could, notice how it changes things. But what you can actually see is a very small, it's called the visible light spectrum, and this energy. And basically it's the colors of the rainbow. When you see the colors of a rainbow, that's visible light. It goes from the, from the yellows to the greens to the blues to the reds. And then all the other colors are a combination of those colors, of those basic colors. And when you get to the end of that spectrum, it's called near infrared. And then you have infrared, and then you have far infrared. And these are light energies which you cannot see with your eye, but are just as important as light. So light has different colors and different powers. Now, what happens is when light strikes our body, when we absorb it's called photonic energy. Light is broken down into photons, and a photon has a certain amount of energy stored within it. Now, a photon, when it hits a photovoltaic cell called a solar panel, that photonic energy is released and stored in a battery and can generate electricity. So light has energy within it. Now, when light strikes your tissue, strikes your body, certain light is absorbed by the body, by the cells, and they can react favorably to that light. We are creatures that have lived in a light source. Light is our gives us life. The sun is life. And light is what plants use to make starch. When combined with chlorophyll and oxygen and nitrogen, a plant makes starch. Starch is a sugar which we eat, and it gives us energy from that starch. So it all began from the sun, from the light. It's very interesting. So, I highly challenge you to Wikipedia, photosynthesis and learn about it, and how plants convert light into starches, and we eat starches and we produce energy and proteins from those starches. It all comes from that light. Well, certain wavelengths, colors, reds, blues, greens, infrared, when they strike your tissue, when you shine them on the body, they can create biological action, biochemical reactions. So for the most part, just to summarize it, a green light seems to help with protein synthesis and tissue healing. A red light seems to help with opening up and helping fat cells to release their contents, and also producing mitochondria and what they call nitric oxide, which is basically a healing response. So the red lights and the green colors can stimulate healing within tissues. They can speed up the healing process. Infrared and near infrared, which is an invisible spectrum that you can't see with your eye, that produces muscle relaxation. It produces anti-inflammatory responses. It reduces inflammation. And it also can help to improve the homeostasis, or the pH, the balance of the tissue which has possibly been injured, just by shining this light on it. So reds, greens, blues, infrared, near infrared, those are the spectrums of the light. Now, what happens is, not only do you need the right color of light, but it needs to have the proper amount of power. So power and color have a lot to do with it. So if you took a very bright red light that had a lot of power behind it, it would not be good for you. It's too much power. And power can cause other things to happen, such as tissue can be damaged. You'll develop a tan because the body tries to block that power. So the trick with laser therapy, if you're interested in knowing more about how lasers work and why they work, is it uses these different colors called wavelengths, and then it's combined with a known power which stimulates the response that you want, the intended response. So for the fat laser, It's a red light at 140 milliwatts, and that stimulates the fatty acid to be released from the tissue cells. The fatty acid is released when you shine a red light at 140 milliwatts for 9 to 10 minutes. It can release the contents of the fat cell. If you take that same red light and turn it into an infrared light, which is invisible, and you up the power to a half a watt to 2 watts to 10 watts, now you have a therapeutic laser device which can heal tissue, can heal, sprains and strains and muscle spasms, and it can reduce inflammation from chronic foot pain, Morton neuromas, heal injuries, plantar fasciitis, tennis elbow, TMJ. All of these inflammatory chronic conditions respond to infrared or near infrared wavelengths, which is a color that you can't see, at higher powers. So that would be a watt to 10 watts to even 15 watts. We have a laser at the chiropractic office, which is a 15-watt laser. That's 15 watts. It doesn't sound much when you compare it to a light bulb, which a bright light bulb is 100 watts. But in laser, 15 watts is a powerful machine. It's enough to carve your name in the side of somebody's wooden plank. That's how powerful it is. But when you apply it correctly with the right handpiece and the proper training, it's a therapeutic laser. And it's the same lasers that they use for surgery, but it's being used for therapeutic. And that's an infrared, near infrared, which is a wavelength that you can't see, but you can feel it, the heat, at between 1 watt to 15 watts. And that's what you're at. That's what you're seeing in the newspapers when you're seeing the chiropractors advertising for laser therapy for neuropathy or laser therapy to help with knee pains and shoulder pains. And, they're quite reputable, and it really, really works well. I used these deeper tissue. They call them deep tissue lasers, high powered deep tissue lasers. I used those extensively for probably 5 years and had great results. And that's what led me into the lipo laser, the fat laser, was from the experience I had with these pain lasers. They really worked well. But when I saw that the same technology is now being used to assist in weight loss, to give you an edge, an extra tool, a little more training, a little extra help, a mentor, so to speak, when it comes to losing weight and body sculpting, these lasers could create that without any tissue damage, without any side effects, without any possibility of being injured or having a bad reaction or having something that would be compensable as an injury. That, to me, I think any good business model needs to look at risk in what they do. And if you have a business model which has a lot of risk, you might want to pick something that has less risk. And when I looked at lipo lasers and spot fat reduction and weight loss, very, very low risk for anybody to have any problems. And at the same time, it's also very, very effective. And it's new technology. And I just knew that would be a winning combination. And so that's how the Slim Body Laser Spa started. I moved away from the pain lasers. In fact, I voluntarily, gladly gave my my high tissue laser therapy, all my services, my clients, my paperwork, the rights to my name, Laser Heal. I gave it to my brother and sister over in Jensen Beach. They practice at A Better Life Chiropractic, and they have all my pain laser stuff, and they love it. And they're helping people, and people that come into the laser spa, my fat spa, well, I can refer them over there, and they can get help for their their knee pains and their feet and all the conditions that people suffer with, that they would take an injection for or be popping pills. You can try laser, can help amazingly well with that. So laser means light that's amplified, stimulated radiation is what laser stands for. So it's a powerful enough to send what they call a straight light beam. Laser is coherent light. It shoots the beam straight. Other lights are scattered, diffuse. The light bulb that you have at your house is diffuse. And that's the difference between a laser and a regular light. The laser is a focused energy, and thus you can control the focus and control the energy of where it's applied. And again, depending on the color of the light and the power behind it, you can stimulate many, many different biochemical reactions within tissue, which could be healing. It can be reparative. It can also be, soothing. It can reduce inflammation. It can reduce spasms. There's a lot of things it can do. We're using it to free fatty acids from the fat cells. So, and when I come back, I'm gonna explain a little bit more about it, about what happens in the office and what our consultation entails. And I just want you to know that we're having some incredibly fantastic opportunities over the next month or two for our clients and new people that live in the area to come on in and sign up. It's a $49 one-time fee for the first visit to try the laser, to see how it works for you, and to see if it's something that's valuable. You come in for a free consultation. And what'll happen is, if you want to go forward with the plan, you can take that coupon and I will gift you 3 free visits along with your plan if you have that coupon. So you come in, you can try the laser, $49, absolutely no requirement, or, you don't have to become a client. We can do the laser. You get one shot. If you want to become a client and get the full result of it, then I'll take that coupon and turn it into 3 free visits along with your regular plan. And that's a huge boost if you're serious about becoming, losing that fat. So that's our offer this week and next week. You just have to give us a call. I would suggest you just type in Dr. Tread laser and you'll get my phone number faster than any other way. There's not a lot of Dr. Treads out there, but if you're able to write down phone numbers, it's 772-223-5885. 5885. So, Michael.
Sir, yes, sir.
The life breath of our practice is testimonials.
That would be correct.
I could tell you all day long how wonderful I am and how wonderful the office is and all the thousands of fantastically happy people that have come in, and you'd be looking at me with a little bit of skepticism.
Yeah, well, you're biased. So, I mean,
I'm not biased.
You're biased. You've got to say those things.
So I can say it worked for me.
Right.
And that's great. And you can see my before and after pictures. You could say
it worked for me.
It worked for you, right?
Absolutely.
And you're a little biased too, because I'm a radio show guy, and we come in together. And
absolutely. We're sitting right next to each other.
Remember when I started and I asked you if you wanted to do it? What did I tell you?
You said you can tell the truth.
I said if it doesn't work, you need to be truthful.
Yep. Yeah. You made very clear when we got started. You're like, tell the truth, whatever it is. If it doesn't work for you, tell people that, and
we'll work on that. Yeah,
exactly.
To be honest is more important than being, making up things.
Absolutely. And I can honestly say that it worked beyond my wildest dreams for me. I lost over 6 inches of belly fat in the first 9 treatments. And then about a year or so later, you were gracious enough to let me go through again because I was getting married at the time. And I lost another 6 inches getting ready for the wedding. And when I was going through with those pictures, I flip back through those now and I'm like, man, I never looked better than in those photos. And the entire weekend, I had family members who hadn't seen me since I was 250 pounds. I was just under 200 pounds for my wedding. And they were coming up going, oh my God, you've lost so much weight. You look fantastic. How did you do it? And I got to tell them it was all because of the lasers.
In 3 weeks.
In just 3 weeks.
I mean, Michael is, he does go to the gym and he does eat better and stuff. And when he disciplines himself, as anybody we can do it, but it can take a month, 3 months, 6 months,
2 years.
How is it 2 years? How would you like to get it in 3 weeks?
That and trust me, your motivation after 3 weeks coming out of the laser spa is sky high. Your motivation 3 weeks of diet and exercise at the gym, not so great.
Yeah, you're just starting to feel the pain of it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So I have someone that's on the phone waiting on us. Her name is Nancy. And
yes, I'm here.
Love to hear from you. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, doctor. How are you?
Oh, it's so good to hear your voice. I know who you are. I recognize you. Yes.
I would think you would, because let me tell you, every time I see you, I just say, oh my God, I've done so well.
Yes.
My first 9 treatments, and I really have to pat myself on the back. 10.5 inches.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Nice.
10 and yeah.
And that would be divided by 3, so that would be a 3-inch girth change.
Yep.
Yep.
It's
And waist
unbelievable.
circumference. Yeah.
We
And did we mention in 3 weeks? Did we mention that?
3 weeks.
This wasn't
9
3
treatments.
years.
Yep. Nope. It was 3 weeks, 9 treatments. What I did was I did the Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I just stuck to it. I followed your rules and directions about drinking the water and doing the shaking machine, which at first I didn't love, but now I've even bought one from Amazon. So it's a heck of a program. And I was very skeptical. I am one that researches time and time again, over and over, reads and rereads, drives by. I used to go to the market. I still go to the market across the street. My shopping is very different there now. But
why do you think
healthy?
Why do you think you had such skepticism about this specifically? Was it things you've read from other places, your own experiences?
No, it's something different, something very different,
Sure.
something that I had never tried. I've always wanted to. So I believe that the more I read and the more testimonials that I read and listened to, you know, online, and once I went to the spa and saw the hundreds, if not almost 1,000, I don't know how many pictures and things of testimonials that you have, I said, and I saw people that I recognized, and I know
you knew them
they
from
would
the
not
community.
Make up a story. Yeah. So it's like, these aren't people that he's taking out of magazines, you know, and putting things up. These are people that I know.
Internet trolls, we call them.
Exactly.
They're not trolls
these
from the
were
internet.
real people. And now I have my picture with my story, and it's real. So I recommend highly to anyone, especially where I was just listening that you're offering the one chance deal. I think that's a wonderful thing. I would have felt a whole lot more comfortable my first time if I known that I could just do it once, and then if I didn't like it, I could leave. But there was no need because I loved it. You lay there, you go off in la la land, and you know it's a very relaxing, calming, soothing process.
Yeah, no pain, no gain doesn't apply at the Slim Body Laser
Oh
Spa.
no, it's just the opposite. The more you relax and the more you
Yeah.
meditate on how those fat cells are leaving your body, the better off you are. So
Yeah. To reduce that stress.
that's it.
That stress causes cortisol, and cortisol causes the fight or flight response, and our blood sugar gets thick, and the body starts to accumulate fat as an energy store. It's all from stress. So-
One of the other things I'd like to, in case you have any listeners out there that are, you know, on the fence there, I was, and I'm always, even if I take an aspirin, I'm always worried about side effects. If my doctor puts me on anything, I want to know what are the side effects. And absolutely nothing negative. If anything, it was only positive because I felt more relaxed, but yet energized and more committed to eating healthier. The people that work for you are just absolutely wonderful and
Thank
so
you.
filled with, they are. I mean, you're wonderful too, but the girls are just unbelievable, and they're so filled with positive reinforcement. Yesterday, it was really cute. Yesterday, I went for a treatment, and one of the women said, "Ooh, you've got some nice curves going on now." I was like, "Ooh," that just, they make you feel good. It's a nice, homey, warm, comfortable atmosphere.
Wow.
You've done
Yep.
well with that. Yep.
Thank you so much. I really, really needed to hear that this morning.
Yep. Well,
it's been a
okay,
long
because-
summer, everybody goes away and you wonder, they forgot about us. Where's all the
it was
people?
Well, they're not
And then
around. But
to hear that-
yesterday, they were there when I was there. Yep.
That's right. It's getting, we had
all the
within a
machines
week,
were
all of a
moving.
sudden
Yep.
we had some more phone calls and stuff.
Yeah, summer's always dead everywhere. But no, they'll be back. They will return, and they'll all be chubbier from being on vacation, so they'll need you.
I said I'm almost as sure as a barber. They're always going to grow their hair back.
Oh, really? Oh, my goodness.
Not
Well,
that, you know,
thank you.
I'll tell you, we've been doing a lot of testimonials. What I'm in the process of doing, Nancy, is I'm taking the ones off the wall. There's 340 of them, and we're going to put them in a digital magazine online.
Oh, that's very
So
cool.
so you could do like a flip book, and we could send it to people, but it's requiring me to call everybody and ask their permission. I don't want to, you know, we have releases, but not necessarily for the internet and for that kind of. And I would hate for someone to say, "Oh my God, my husband," you know. So I've been calling people with a little apprehension at first because I hadn't spoken to some of them in 4 or 5 years, and the thought is they always gain their weight back. You hear. Well, out of the, I guess, 15 people I called, I spoke to half of them. Every one of them. Well, one guy had completely forgot he ever even came in. He still wondered why I was calling him only 2 years ago. But that's beside the point, at least. But everybody else, I had people that had never had the weight come back. They were still thin. They were still maintained the things that they learned. It was amazing to it felt so good because we don't really have any way of following up years and years later to somebody's results other than people say, well, does it come back? And I said, you know, all these testimonials on the walls, some of them been here for 6 years. I've never had anybody come in and take it off the wall and said, give me my testimonial back. Right. So I assume they're still doing pretty good. And then when I made these phone calls, a lot of them are doing even better than I could have imagined.
Very good.
That made me
that's
feel good
great.
too.
Yes. So that's it. I have made the commitment. I think for somebody to go to the laser spa, you have pretty much tried all of the exercise places and the diet. And there's just that little spot that you're like, okay, so if you invest the time, you invest the money, you don't want to gain this back. You know, and it's very difficult because I know I can say it and she won't get angry at me, but your wife drills into your head the 3 things that you must continue to do, which is wonderful every day.
So weigh every Thursday.
That's right. I did have to tell her.
Eat a big salad before dinner, before your meal. That's the second. What's the third one?
Well, and you have to do green and lean
for clean,
dinner.
and green for dinner.
That's right.
Those are the 3 rules. I even know them.
Sweetie, but yeah, well, you better. She drills them right in there, and they stick. So, well, they're all great. But like I said, the women you have there are wonderful.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you.
You are very welcome. Thank you.
Yep. Well, all right. Great. We could talk forever, but thank you so much. Yep. Thank you, Nancy. Bye-bye.
She was great.
I feel better. I do. You know, it's quite remarkable, you know, to picture where it is and what's happened. I have to pinch myself because, you know, 7 years ago in 2008 and 2009, do you remember? Were you still in high school back then?
Yeah, I was not here on the Treasure Coast, but I was pretending to be an adult up in Orlando.
Yeah. And, you know, if anybody remembers 2008, man, that's when the housing crisis came. That's when
tough.
Lehman went under and Bear Stearns went out of business. And if you were in business and you suffered, I mean, we suffered. I went in being in practice for about 23 years at that point to a very successful practice to having it literally gutted in half. By the end of that 2008, that first year of the new presidency, we were in trouble. I mean, we were going out of business. And I brought in as many people as I could through chiropractic and through neck and back care and doing promotions and family plans and, you know, buy one, get one free. I mean, I boosted my chiropractic visit numbers up to over 300 people a week and couldn't make the money from it. It was really tough. The insurance people didn't know about their insurance. They had these huge deductibles and something had to change. And what I did was I got involved in, I bought a young doctor had come to work for me for a week back in 08. Actually, it was 09. After a year of suffering and struggling. And I finally took 1 week off to go down to the Keys after not taking any time off for over 3 years. And this doctor came in and he was young. And he says to me, he says, what do I do if someone's in a lot of pain, doc? What do you do for them? Like some kind of medical office or something. I'm like, well, son, I'm a chiropractor, and we adjust and we put ice on them and we send them back with some advice, and maybe they might have to see their MD for a little pain relief, but you keep seeing them. He goes, you don't have a laser here? I was like, a laser? Why would a chiropractor have a laser?
Right.
I had no idea. I never knew they were for therapy. I thought they were for cutting, LASIKs, skin tag, tattoo removal. That's what I thought lasers were for. And he says, no, they're not. This isn't a surgical laser. Lasers are being used for therapy, for therapeutic reasons, to speed up healing, to decrease pain in like 50% each time you use the laser, and they can also speed up the healing. And I was like, I never heard of that. How do you know this? He says, well, they teach it in college. I hadn't been in college in a long time, and I'd heard a little bit about it, but didn't think it was anything worth checking out. And he gave me a website. As I left, he gave me the information of an office he worked at in Orlando that had a really strong laser presence and it had a lot of success. And, when I came back from that week in the Keys and it was mini season and had time to think about myself and what was going on, I said, I'm going to look into these lasers. Maybe this is something that can prevent people from taking medications all the time. I mean, when you hurt and you hurt yourself and you sprain your knee or you fall on your arm, the medical condition warrants pain meds. I mean, this is what they do. If you can't deal with the pain and you need relief, they're going to give you some kind of medication. Not all of it's addicting, but a lot of it is. And also pain meds, they kind of numb your warning system. They're effective, but they don't allow you to protect yourself in the meantime. And that would be a great analogy would be, you have an arthritic knee and you're a woman and you're overweight and your knee is hurting you all the time because of the weight and the arthritis. So in order to get through the day, you take you take NSAIDs. You take ibuprofen or acetaminophen, and it works. You take 1 or 2 when you go to the mall and it's okay, or 1 or 2 when you go to Publix and you get through it. And all of a sudden, the 1 or 2 doesn't work anymore, and you're taking 3 and 4, and you're taking them when you get up in the morning because the condition is degenerating. It's getting worse. And, that requires more medication to manage the symptoms. So now you're taking, I just met a client yesterday. He's taking 10 ibuprofens a day.
10?
For I want to say close to 10 years.
That can't be good for you.
I almost fell off the chair with very consideration. And I said, you really need to talk to your doctor. Have you mentioned it to your doctor? Well, I did. I said, he didn't say that was a problem. Wow. But anyway, so what happens is this taking medication and not fixing the cause eventually led this woman to have a complete total knee replacement because it got so worn out. It got so bad that the pain pills couldn't work anymore. And then they replaced the knee. And you know what? It doesn't change the quality of her life as much as if she had handled it in the early stage. In other words, at the end of a knee arthritic, God forbid, horrible knee problem, and you get a brand new knee, you're better off with the knee than you were a week before the surgery.
Mm-hmm.
But 10 years before that happened, you probably could have done something about it to keep the knee. But because of the pain pills, there's no motivation to make the change. And that's just a fact about drugs. They prevent you from making the change that's necessary because they relieve the symptoms temporarily. And I've seen that happen in my chiropractic office for years and years, and I educate on it, and I recommend natural treatments and ice packs and, relief factor and herbs and essential fatty acids and all the different remedies that you read about for these pain. And you know what? People were still taking pain pills. They were still having injections, and they wouldn't tell me about it because they knew I'd be critical. And when I was introduced to the laser, to me, it made so much sense to me, because you've got something which can affect pain. It can lower pain in a series of laser sessions. It can also reduce inflammation. FDA, cleared to do this. All the studies show, you can see electron microscopes, images of how the inflammation is reduced from the use of a laser. And also the pain scales and what people report back is nothing short of, almost like they were hypnotized to not have pain. That's how quickly it can go away with some people. And that to me was exciting. But the real factor, which really changed my mind, was that it can stimulate a healing response. It can make tissues heal faster. And none of the pain pills can do that. Very little, exercise, nutrition, taking good supplements, the fatty acids, putting ice on it, removing it with heat. All of these things do stimulate healing. They can speed up healing. But nothing works the same way as a laser. And to me, that was exciting, and it should be exciting to you too if you're listening to this program and you're sitting with a sore knee or a chronic injury or pain and you have not tried a laser. It's something that you should think about. So what happened is I realized that I could help people, and it was something that was not covered by insurance. And I kind of like that, because insurance has its own, draconian measures. When you do take insurance, it's nice to have something that you don't use insurance for as a doctor. Not everything, but some of it. So I got this machine called the ML830. It looked like a flashlight, I swear to gosh. And it had no light came out of it. So there you go. You got this flashlight, but there's no light that comes out of it, and it makes a beeping sound. And when it's beeping, everybody's got to cover their eyes. That's all they really kind of tell you about it. And I'm like, why would? Well, because the laser can burn your eye. Oh my God, don't come in the room. Don't come even near this thing without goggles on. Well, I learned a lot more about it. It's a very low level laser, and you wouldn't want to look directly in it for 2 days, but a quick, walking past it isn't going to hurt your eyes. Let's put it that way.
Okay, good.
So I had this laser, and I also found out that you can see the light if you put it up to a cell phone. So an Apple, the image capturing device on a cell phone can pick up the infrared wavelength. It's sensitive to that wavelength.
Really? So
it shows up as a bright light. So what really surprised me was when I was in the room and nobody can see anything, there's nothing coming out of it because it's invisible to your eye. If you take the cell phone, it looked like a train light shining and reflecting through the room that I couldn't see. Think about that.
That's wild.
I mean, you take this flashlight thing, you hold it against the wall, and then you use the phone to look at it, and it looks like a bright light that's hitting the wall, bouncing off the other wall, going behind you, and then back again.
Right.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a powerful light coming out of this. You don't see it. And that was my first realization of the power that was really happening. And of course, as we went through the application of it and trying it on people, and then learning the parameters and the protocols that involved with it, it was quite amazing. I mean, I had people that came in. I did an ad in the Stewart News for 2 free visits, for the laser, to come in and have 2 free visits at no obligation to become a client. If you came in and you had results on the second visit, we would talk about a plan and what it would take to fix the problem, but at least you got to try it.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember we had 20 people come in from that full page ad I did. It took me about 2 weeks to process all 20 of them as they came in. Of the 20 people that came in, half of them, the problem they had resolved in 1 treatment.
Really?
I mean, out of the 20, 10 of them did not need a second treatment.
Wow.
So here I am, the first treatment. Let's say it's a foot pain, a heel spur. Okay, a lot of pain. They're suffering. Do the treatment. Okay, we'll see you on Tuesday. We're going to go over a report of findings, see what we're going to do with this thing. They come in on Tuesday. They're like, it's all gone. What do you mean? It's gone, doc. It doesn't hurt. I have no pain. I don't know what's, and I'm like, well, you're probably going to need more visits because it's not fixed yet. And he's like, well, it is in my book because the pain's gone. And why do I need 10 more visits? And I was like, you got a good point there.
Yeah. Hard to argue with that. So
if it comes back, you give us a call, and then I was like, oh, this was not a good business model. This thing fixed everybody. And then I started to look at it and I realized that conditions that were, feet, toes, things between surface things, wrist pain, elbow, where you could touch it. The laser was very effective at those and could remove them very quickly. The deeper stuff, the torn rotator cuffs, shoulder problems, frozen shoulders, chronic knee arthritis, sciatica, neuropathy, these types of conditions, chronic arthritis in people's ankles where they're, trying to fuse that kind of stuff, that can take a lot longer to fix. However, each time you do the treatment, they feel better. So it was not that much of a stretch for me to embrace the lipolaser technology when it was first introduced to me. This was introduced to me back in 2010 in West Palm Beach at a seminar I was at. And they took a guy that was in his 50s with a big belly like I had, and they measured him, and then they applied the laser directly to his belly fat, and they kept it on for 30 minutes. And he sat in a chair. Well, they did the presentation. Everybody watched him. And when they took the paddles off and they remeasured him, he lost 1 inch in girth in 3 spots, 1 inch in waist size in 3 areas right in front of us. And his pants, visibly, he had to raise them up a notch. And that was my first impression. And I thought maybe it's transitory. Maybe it's just fluid being released. How do you know it's going to stay off? A lot of the questions I had, but I did believe in the technology. And I knew that if you embrace the technology and you treated it like something special, which I do, it'll work better. And that's really where it came from. I was with my wife and I said, this could help a lot of people. I said, everybody's struggling with weight right now. The diabetes is through the ceiling. They got metabolic syndrome. They're taking most of the consults I do, they're on blood pressure medication and they're on cholesterol. They're on a statin. And I know that their systems are in free fall. I know that they're getting sicker and sicker, even though the symptoms are not as present as they were. I know that those drugs do not correct the true cause of the problem. They only treat the symptom. I've known it since I was a young doctor. And to me, if you're on medication for pressure and you're on medication for blood sugar and you're on medication for high triglycerides, belly, high fatty levels of blood fat circulating through, if your LDL numbers and HDL numbers are not where they should be, and you're heavy and you have extra weight, come on, the cause of this is probably the weight. Taking the drugs, it's a help, but it's not the cause. And so now you look at it and say, okay, I got to get rid of this weight. I'm 50, 60 years old. He's right. I've listened to the doctor. I know this is creating my problem. And then you say to yourself, well, what do I do? Well, first we go to the internet. First we go to, we're watching some show and we see the Dr. Oz program comes on. And he says, lose 20 pounds in 20 days with this crazy keto diet. And you're like, wow, that's me, man. I'd like to do that. Look, they show all these people doing it. And then it's like, maybe we need to, join this new exercise craze, get the P90 video series and lose, inches and strengthen. And the guy's like, yeah, but I got a bad knee.
Yeah.
I can't do that. Okay. So that kills that one. So I used to walk all the time, but I can't because now my foot hurts when I walk. And, doctor says I have to let this heal. And, so then I go to the thing to start eating better and the diet plan. And gosh, the results are so slow. And I'm in with these people I don't even really I think I can do this on my own. And you know what? It's a lot harder than you realize. And you're not getting the results. The meds aren't coming down. The family still sees you, and you actually become frustrated, hopefully. And if you're smart, just like if I couldn't fix my landscaping because I don't have the skills or the manpower to fix my landscaping, or I'm not going to try to put a new roof on my house if I only know there's a hole, I'm going to hire a professional. We are a professional office at the Slim Body Laser Spa. I'm a doctor. My staff are trained by me. I do all my own consultations. We have goals. We have set goals of where you should be in 1 week, in the 3rd week, in the 5th week. We have a plan to continue aftercare so you can continue the inch loss and the weight loss that you occurred in the 3-week program. I've heard it all. I've had 5,000 people come in. I've had everybody from people in their 90s in wheelchairs to kids to people that can only eat certain foods get results from the laser. We get results. And if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired and you don't want to keep taking all those crummy medications, you want to see if you can get off and lower them, come on into the Slim Body. Check it out. We're here to serve you. I'm here to serve the people of Martin County. That's my message, 100%. So our phone number is 772-223-5885. It's slimbodylaserspa.com. We have a YouTube page. We got a Facebook. I've got a Twitter feed. I am posting on Twitter every single day. I made a commitment to myself, and also on my Facebook feed. So we're getting all the testimonials online in the next probably 2 weeks. I'm going to have over 300 of those testimonials on an online book online. And hey, have a great day. Have a great fall. See you soon. Bye-bye.